Go support Kenchi618 on fanfiction.net. Chapter 10, A-Team? S-Team. After returning from the Soul Society and being picked up by Urahara and Tessii on what could only be explained as a flying carpet, the youngest members of the group, Ichigo, Chad, Uryu, and Orihime were dropped off at their homes. Naruto and Yaruchi went back to Urahara's place, being that Naruto didn't have anywhere to return to anyway. After arriving at Urahara's, the group wound up sitting around the table with the hat-wearing man staring down his fellow blonde with a grin on his face. Well? How was it? Did you bring me anything? Got a postcard? Any messages for me? Nope. Naruto said firmly before rethinking his statement. Oh, actually yeah, I do have something for you. Urahara blinked in confusion. He had been joking. He didn't really expect anything from the trip to come back for him. Really? What is it? A fist to the face that knocked him across the room was what he received from Naruto. Naruto stood up with a tick mark on his head and his hand formed after an angry punch. He took a series of deep breaths and sat down. That was for everything since we met, up to and including introducing me to the Vizards and sending me half-cocked into the Soul Society without so much as a word of warning or any advice. Urahara sat up with a bloody nose. And that's all I'm getting for that? He said disbelievingly, not really too upset about just one punch, a punch that left him conscious and coherent. And what about Yaruchi? She's half the reason you even went in the first place. Naruto wiped Urahara's blood off of his knuckle. Meh, I'm going to get her back for that later too. He ignored Yaruchi's squawk of indignation and kept talking. Besides, since she was the one that requested me to do this, she has to pay me now. I would say that this qualified as an S-rank mission. He started doing math on his hands. Okay, 1 million Ryo was the going rate for an S-rank mission back when I was a kid. That exchange rate would be 10 yen for 1 Ryo. He pointed firmly at Yaruchi. You owe me 10 million yen. Yaruchi's jaw dropped as she started sputtering nonsense before being able to form coherent words. 10 million? What the hell are you talking about? I can't afford that. She stood up and pointed back at him accusingly. And aren't you rich? Couldn't you do something out of the kindness of your heart for once? Naruto shook his head. I'm a mercenary, Yaruchi-chan. If I don't charge you for stuff like this, then I'll have to give other people breaks, and I'll lose my clientele. He ignored her yell of "What clientele?" and kept reasoning. I can give you a friend's discount though. 50% off, that means you owe me 5 million now. Isn't that better? He felt the yellow eyes of the former noble glaring at him as Ururu handed him a cup of tea. Just because I'm loaded doesn't mean I can start doing things for free. The economy is tumultuous these days. He said as he calmly took a sip of his beverage. I'll show you tumultuous, you stingy bastard. Yaruchi said, cracking her knuckles before Naruto held up a hand to stop her. What now? You could always work it off. Naruto said, you're supposed to be on my team that I'm building anyway. Just do this one mission for me and we're all even again. Fine. Yaruchi said, ready to be rid of her debt that she had placed herself under. What do I have to do? Sleep with you? He noticed his eyes flicker to hers. I'm not sleeping with you over a debt. Naruto rolled his eyes. I would never ask you to do that anyway, Yaruchi-chan. He said in a heartfelt manner before he turned serious and pointed at her. You're not going to be able to use that excuse. When I wind up sleeping with you, it's going to be because we have something between us that made you feel it was appropriate, not because you owe me something. Yaruchi crossed her arms with a twitching eye. Are you done? Naruto nodded and took another sip. Then what's the mission? Naruto lowered his cup and smiled. Urahara, I'm going to need a very, very good jigai. Huh? The store owner said in confusion before elaborating. I'm sorry, I tuned out after you said she had to do a mission for you. I assumed that would mean sleep with you, and I kind of went scatterbrained for a second imagining me in your place. He felt Yaruchi's death glare shift to him and he immediately stood up. But you said jigai. I heard that. Follow me, sir, we have a wide selection of jigai to choose from. He grabbed Naruto's arm and dragged him out of the room. Yaruchi looked at the open door as the only ones left in the room now were her, Tessai, Ururu, and Jinta. Hey wait. What do you need a jigai for? You're human already. XXX. No. Yaruchi said firmly. Yes. Naruto replied brightly, Urahara behind him, happily holding up a blank jigai. This is your mission and requires a jigai, unless you'd like to front me your pay when we start getting it for our work. He suggested. I don't think I even care that much. Yaruchi said, turning away from them, the fact that you're going to even try to have me do that. Ugh, I don't think I could bear it. She said, shivering slightly. Naruto wrapped his arms around her to stop her shivering. Yeah, I know. I'm going to be doing it too, but that's why I need you there with me. So that I don't die of boredom or kill someone while I'm there. Keep me in line. Yuruchi whipped around in his grasp and looked up at him. But why? Why would you possibly need me to go with you for what you're about to do? I don't want to go anywhere, let alone all the way around the world. Naruto frowned, because it's going to be a long fucking trip and I need you to come with me so that I don't get bored. Don't you want to learn more about me anyway? Why can't I just keep going as a soul? She said, pouting, or as a cat. I could go as a cat, that would be just as good, right? Naruto shook his head. Nope, I can't talk to a soul or a cat in public without being seen as totally insane. And besides, as far away as we're going, I need a sexy companion to make myself seem more awesome. Urahara appeared in front of her, waving the jigai. Come on Yuruchi, he's paying top dollar for this jigai. You know you want it, well, you know that I want him to buy it so that you have it. Come on, it's going to be a good one. I hate using gigace. Yuruchi chewed on her lip as they kept pestering her about the jigai until she finally caved. Fine. I'll use the damn jigai and I'll go with you on your stupid trip to nowhere. Where are you even going anyway? Naruto wrote out a check to a salivating Urahara. I'm just going to swing by somewhere and grab someone that may or may not be useful for this. He seems like he would be if my memory is correct. Urahara was mumbling to himself about how much money he had just made before he stuck the check inside of his clothes. Uzumaki-san, I have one request of you. Whatever it is you're going to do. He reached elsewhere and grabbed Jinta, shoving him in Naruto's face. Take this guy with you. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why do I want the angry, red-haired, bat-swinging runt to go with me? He said before dodging a pair of tiny legs that kicked out at him. I'll runt you, Jinta said, squirming in Urahara's grip. Naruto chuckled. Ooh, he's got a little bite to him. Fine. I'll drag him along, but don't cry to me if he winds up dead or something. Doesn't he have school? Don't you? Jinta replied, being set down on the ground. Technically I do, but I'm never going to go. Naruto said, and it's summer vacation. Oh, answered my own question. He scratched his head and looked at Urahara. Why do you want me to take Wonder Brat? He's going to cramp my style. What style? Yuruchi asked as she held the jigai she was going to have to use and stared at it distastefully. What possible style could you be talking about? Naruto grumbled in reply, don't worry about it. He looked down at Jinta who was staring up at him with the usual punkish look on his face. Are you going to be a good brat or am I going to have to tape your mouth shut all the way on the trip? Urahara interjected at that moment. So where are you going and why are you even going there in the first place? He asked Naruto. You don't seem like the kind of guy that really goes anywhere with any real purpose in mind. I need a team. Naruto said, I'm supposed to be building something of an observational first response team here in the world of the living since all of Aizen's plans apparently danced around every single person in the Soul Society. He looked at Urahara with a grin. You probably wouldn't want to, but I'll ask you anyway. Do you want to help me out? Maybe, Urahara said, holding his fan in front of his face. What am I going to get out of it? Money. Naruto started listing things. A better rapport with the Siriidii. Money. You get to hang out with me. Money. He stopped listing. I'll have more when things get underway, I guess. I'm doing this because it has to be done. Urahara thought about it for a moment as he paced around. I need to think about it. Things are going to be getting a lot more hectic soon. He stopped walking around and snapped his fan shut. I'll tell you what. You go on your trip and come back and I may have an answer for you. Cool. Naruto said, I'll leave tomorrow and should be back in 4 days, hopefully with everyone else intact as well. Oh, and I'm going to need another jigai as well. The best you've got, because I've got an idea. XXX. 2 days later. Naruto, wearing casual clothes for travel, a dark blue button-up shirt and a pair of black slacks and shoes, lead Jinta, in his normal t-shirt and shorts, and Yuruchi, who was wearing a casual purple dress and a black short jacket. The three were walking through a particularly deep section of woods that Naruto seemed to be blazing as if it were ingrained in his memory about where he was trying to go. Yuruchi didn't have much of a problem following him all over the wildery area, although it was a long walk it was very calm. Jinta on the other hand had been pestering them both all trip and both were pondering how much trouble they would get into if they left him there. Either way, Urahara was going to get it when they got back to Karakura town. Why oh why did you agree to take the kid? Yuruchi asked Naruto as she watched him seamlessly navigate their way through a densely wooded area of the forest. Naruto shrugged as he kept leading the way. A little adventure is good for a kid like that every now and then. He looked back. Hopefully we lost him back there. He should be fine if we leave him here, right? When I was his age I probably could have made it home from a place like this. Yuruchi let a lightly amused smile cross her face. So why are we even out here? You said you wanted to come out here to check for something, but you never said what it was. Naruto smiled back at her. Can you feel that? He said as he jumped up a small rocky outcropping and held his hand out for her to take. Yuruchi gratefully accepted his help. Her Jigai body was very well made, but she was as weak as a human in this form. Once he pulled her up and steadied her, she actually could feel something in the air. Actually, yeah. I can. It feels like a very dull underlying of power. Where are we? Nowhere but a simple national nature park, Yuruchi-chan. Naruto said as he continued to lead her along. But back when I was a teenager this place was actually a place that belonged to my friend's clan, and he used it to make sure that a certain someone was bound here for all of eternity. Yuruchi raised an eyebrow. Then why are you coming here? Are you actually going to let him out? Naruto nodded. Why? You just said he was supposed to stay here for all eternity. Is this person immortal like you? Yep. Naruto said before backtracking a bit. Well, not exactly like me, but he is immortal, in pretty much every sense of the word. I can't kill his body, it's already dead. But I can still handle this guy. He looked around before letting out a yell. Jinta. Where are you? I'm over here, you lousy old fart. Naruto got a tick mark on his head as Yuruchi let out a giggle. They continued on towards where they heard Jinta's voice as Naruto let out some angry mutters about respect and how he wasn't old. Eventually they came to a clearing where Jinta was sitting on the grass waiting for them and seemingly staring at some kind of spirit that was bound to the ground by a chain centralized in a small hole in his chest. What the hell is this single spirit doing here in the middle of nowhere? It's like he's a demi-hollow or something, but he's the most chill demi-hollow I've ever seen. Yuruchi looked at Naruto. Of course he knew someone that was turning into a hollow, why wouldn't he? She thought, fighting the urge to facepalm when Naruto greeted the spirit. Hello Haiden. Naruto said brightly at the soul, who turned to him and went wide-eyed. Yep, I'm back again. Oh man. Haiden said dejectedly. He was dressed in a frayed and tattered black cloak with red clouds on it. He reached off to the side where there appeared to be a large scythe with 3 blades on it off to the side, but it seemed to swim just out of his reach. Damn it, I forgot. The scythe is too far away from where my physical body is, or else I would have cut this loudmouthed runt down before you got here. He plopped unceremoniously on the ground and glared at Naruto. So what do you want this time, kid? The last time you were here 20 years ago you stood here and gloated about how you kicked the Akatsuki's ass and blah, blah, blah. He grunted. So what do you want now? To get you out of here. Naruto said calmly. I want you to work for me. I can get you out of here and get you back to living in the real world again, and seeing as how you didn't age just like me after all of these years, you're still immortal. Thank Jashin. Haiden replied sarcastically. It was cool until right when I got buried here by what's-his-face. I survived for around 2 years and then I died. My body needed nutrients. Jashin-sama couldn't take away that little disadvantage. And then I didn't go to hell or heaven or whatever, I was just stuck here in the stupid sacred forest, alone, I forgot how long it's been. Over 2,000 years. Naruto answered him. I told you that last time I was here. Haiden's eye twitched. I haven't killed a single person in over 2,000 years? How have I not been excommunicated from Jashin-sama? Jashin? Yuruchi said as she walked closer to Haiden. Jashin-sama? She analyzed Haiden's face closely, unnerving the man, but there wasn't really anything he could do to push her away from him. What is that? And how have you been here for 2,000 years and not turned into a hollow yet? It should have happened after 1 year. Jashin-sama is my god. He is the embodiment of slaughter and violence. I don't know what a hollow is, sexy lady. Haiden said absently. Anyway, what are you doing hanging out with the stupid blonde kid? Yuruchi backed away from him and jerked her thumb over at Naruto. For now anyway, I'm supposed to be working with him and I'm more or less his guide of sorts to the Soul Society, the place that souls go when they die. She turned to Naruto. Are you really so sure we can use him? He doesn't seem like he'd be easy to control. How would you even get him out? In a minute, Yuruchi-chan. He said before focusing on Haiden. So how about it? You get to fight tough people that are going to stomp a mudhole in your ass and might be able to kill you for real. And you might just get to meet Jashin for real if he's really a hollow. What does he look like? Haiden smiled as he hadn't gotten to talk about Jashin in thousands of years. Jashin-sama has the appearance of a normal human white skeleton. He wears an ornate crown on his head, bracelets on his wrists, and has a royal purple coat with black fur lining it. Every time I activated my curse I saw that regal sight, the embodiment of death, except for the last time when I lost that battle here. Yoruichi looked over at Naruto and silently mouthed the word hollow, probably Vasto Lord, to him, getting a nod from him. How are you going to get him out? Naruto walked over to Haiden and looked him into the eye. If I let you go you're going to work for me. I'll pay you, but you can't go around just killing people anymore. He saw Haiden's mouth open to snap at him when he continued, but you'll get the chance to fight a ton of enemies, and you'll even get the chance to see Jashin firsthand once I find a way to reach his realm. Haiden's eyes sparkled at the prospect, although he wouldn't be able to express his faith anymore. But none of that was his fault. He'd tell Jashin that once he saw his god firsthand. Fine. Get me out of here and I'll do whatever the hell you want. Cool. Naruto said, cut the chain Yoruichi-chan. Naruto. Yoruichi yelled at him abruptly, grabbing his cheeks in her hands like he was a child. If I cut the chain he'll painfully turn into a hollow, and I can't perform a Kanso, soul burial, on him. Even if I do the Kanso he'll go to Rukongai and we'll have to look for him all over again. That could take years. Besides, he's bound to this land or else he would have probably become a hollow millennia ago. Naruto let out a huff. Fine, I'll do it myself. He said as he started making hand seals. Your way actually would have been more pleasant for him, he likes pain. Getu, outer path. Naruto's Rinnegan activated as an ethereal, demonic-looking head emerged from a purple border at Naruto's feet, lifting him off of the ground as he stood on it. Sorry Haiden, this is going to suck until I can get you what I need. What the hell are you doing? Haiden asked before the tongue of the head grabbed him tightly and ripped him from his chain before it swallowed him whole and receded back into the ground. As the head disappeared, Naruto turned back to Yoruichi and Jinta with a satisfied look on his face. Alright, I've got what I came for. Let's head on home. The other two watched Naruto shove his hands into his pockets and whistle a jaunty tune as he proceeded to walk away. Come on you guys, I only rented that car for 5 days. We have to go back now. Jinta pointed at Naruto with a shaky finger. Did he just call up some weird creature to eat that guy's soul? Who the hell is he? Yoruichi just herded the boy along to follow after Naruto. Just go. The more questions you get answers to the more pop up later. XXX. 2 days later, evening, highway back to Karakura town. Yoruichi sat in the passenger seat of a black convertible that Naruto had rented to drive across the country and had her eyes locked on Naruto as he kept his own blue orbs on the road. So are you going to tell us what the hell we just saw you do back there? Naruto panned his eyes over to her for a moment before looking back forward. I'm pretty much the bridge of balance in the world of the living. I can interact with souls and I kind of could before I could freely see them. Now I can do more than just rip souls out of the bodies of others though. He playfully tapped Yoruichi on the nose. I could pull you right out of that jigai of yours if I wanted to, right now. Yoruichi smiled at him before looking in the back to see Jinta asleep on the seat. She turned back forward and let out a yawn and shut her eyes to catch a few Z's. How could a human have amassed so much power? Even before you knew what you were really doing you had the power to affect life and death. I can't imagine having a role like that, something that's so far beyond what your species should be able to do. I wasn't really that far ahead of everyone else at first. Naruto said to her quietly in case she was really trying to get to sleep. There were a lot of humans that were really powerful. They were scary strong people. If they were spiritually aware then I could only imagine the trouble a lot of them could have given the Shinigami and Hollows. He looked over at Yoruichi and gave her a smile. I know that all of this stuff is going to be more trouble than I've had in more than 1,000 years, but meeting people like you guys has really made me think that it'll be worth it. He reached out to her and rubbed her cheek with the back of his hand. I haven't had anyone other than myself to fight for in a long time. Yoruichi grabbed his hand and kissed it. Don't just think that goes one way. I'll fight for you too, Naruto. She noticed him giving her a strange look. What? You act like a pervert and an immature idiot sometimes, but when you're alone or around me you're actually really deep. Do you really trust me that much? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. You're what I would call my first real friend in hundreds of years. Likewise. She replied good-naturedly. When I left the Soul Society the only friend I was able to keep in contact with was Kasuke. And then after 100 years there was you. You're very good company, Naruto, and you're cute. She lay her head down on the armrest between them, and I keep thinking that you're going to be way more important than anyone will ever know. Naruto took a chance on pissing her off or not and ran his free hand through Yoruchi's hair, getting a surprisingly content sigh from her, prompting him to keep doing it. I'd like to say that you're wrong, but the last time I said that I ended up saving the world, so I'll just agree for now. She mumbled a sleepy reply, good night Yoruchi-chan. We'll be back in Karakura Town by the time you wake up. XXX. The next morning, Karakura Town, Urahara shop. Naruto, Yoruchi, Urahara, and Tessai were all in the training area of the shop with Urahara holding a blank jigai. So what exactly are you going to do? The shopkeeper asked his fellow blonde. Naruto grinned, I'm going to grab someone's soul and I'm going to slam it into that jigai, and that person is then going to work for me, because that's how I recruit. He scratched his chin, I'm going to have to train him to fight hollows and stuff, but hey, it should work, right? Naruto made a set of hand seals, Gedu, outer path. Naruto's summoned demonic head appeared and spat Haiden out, only his appearance wasn't what Naruto figured it should be, oh shit. Yoruchi, Urahara, and Tessai looked at the remerged Haiden strangely as a crushing Ryatsu settled over them all, freezing them in place for a moment. Eventually the curious hat-wearing men pointed at him, is he supposed to look like that? Tessai, get a Kidu ready, like the strongest Bakudu you've got, right now. Kind of? But hold up on that for a second. Naruto replied curiously, tilting his head as if a different perspective would make his old enemy appear any different. Did you ingest any blood? I don't see how you could have, you're a soul. Still, what's going on? What? Haiden asked testily as he noticed everyone staring at him strangely. What the fuck are you all looking at? Am I that interesting? He asked rhetorically, getting a resounding yes from everyone around him. Really? How? Well, Naruto said before making a hand seal, maybe it would be better for you to see firsthand. Gen no Yatsu, transformaste en Yatsu. No fucking way. Haiden went wide-eyed at what he saw Naruto transform into. Haiden had the appearance of his face being an actual skull, his slicked-back silver hair still existed on top of his head as he had actual eyeballs and his normal purple-pink eye color. He still had on his beaten-up black robe, but that was because he hadn't changed his size. From what could be seen of his body, his skin was entirely black with white parts of his skeleton in specific areas sticking through. His entire ribcage outline could be seen over his black skin, for instance, along with a hole in the middle of his chest. His left arm also had 3 blade-looking plates jutting from the bottom side of his forearm, and his right arm had a long, thin-looking blade-like plate coming from the knuckle of his middle finger. I look so badass. What is this? Yoruchi stepped back slightly before speaking to Naruto. Are you telling me that you broke his chain of fate when you yanked him inside of that thing? And when he came out he was a hollow? Not only that, but he turned into a damned Vasto Lord? She grabbed Naruto by his collar and pointed at Haiden. How? That doesn't just happen. That takes years. Haiden was still marveling over his new appearance. Is anyone going to tell me what's going on here or what? Man, I look so awesome. Naruto was doing the same, poking at Haiden and seeing if he was real or not. Yeah, someone tell me too. How do hollows even get to being Vasto Lords in the first place? He was then joined by Urahara, who decided to join in on the analyses of Haiden's new hollow form with a notepad. Urahara was scrambling down Haiden's appearance, while he was still tame for the time being anyway. Jillian-class Minos are made of tons of hollows. Only those that have a particular soul that can assert dominance have the potential to evolve to the next level of Ajuchas. Then they have to devour an obscene amount of souls to stop from devolving and even possibly evolve further to Vasto Lord. I think it takes another requirement, but I don't really know what that is. Haiden then glared at Naruto. You have so many freaky monsters in there, it's not even funny. I couldn't even count them all. From the moment you shoved me in there to the moment you took me out I was fighting these ugly monsters, all with weird masks. There were some huge ones the size of massive buildings, and then some that looked more like deformed humans. Long story short, I fought through all of them right up until you pulled me out. I didn't even know I had been changing in appearance the entire time. Honestly, it felt like I was one with Jashin-sama again the entire time. It was a blur. A bloody blur. How many did you kill? Yoruchi asked him. If he can't remember much, that means he must have devoured them as well. To evolve in just 2 days he must have killed an obscene amount of hollows, and have already been one of terrifying power in the first place. So many. Haiden replied somewhat wistfully. Man, blonde demon kid was so spot on when he said he'd get me tons of fools to slaughter. I'm definitely working for him now. There were so many left too. It was like an endless flood of them. Naruto blinked blankly. Okay. Then the Gedu has tons of souls in it from when Pain used it, or the original Rikudo Sennin, and they were all in there so long that they turned into hollows because time is super distorted in there seeing as how they were all intact. That's my theory and I'm sticking to it. I wish I had known that a long time ago. At least I've never pulled anyone's soul out and kept them in there like I did with Haiden before now. Yoruichi palmed her face. You turned your first recruit into a hollow? He's a mindless killing machine now. Naruto gave her a look with a raised eyebrow. He seems the same to me. He turned to Haiden. How do you feel, Haiden? Like I have a barely restrained bloodlust only held back by the fact that it's really inappropriate right now to kill you. I can feel how strong you guys are. He said seamlessly before shoving Naruto and Urahara off of him. Sick of being prodded at, still doesn't mean I won't do it anyway if you don't back off. Naruto and Urahara caught themselves and steadied their balance before Naruto poked the former Shinigami captain with his elbow. See, he's fine. He was like that all the time back when he was alive too. Haiden nodded in agreement. He would just randomly kill people all the time for his religion. There's a reason for that. Haiden admitted, the only way I really stayed immortal was by killing people like that, and activating my curse. I really don't feel very different at all. I mean, there's a part of me telling me to kill you all, but it's not really any different from when I was alive after the ceremony that made me immortal took place. He pushed his finger into the hole in his chest. I'm going to miss the stabbing myself in the heart thing. It never killed me. Yoruichi stared at him wide-eyed. So you really were a human touched by a hollow. Your hollow hole is where your heart used to be, and if you could stab yourself there when you were a human you must have been developing a hollow hole the entire time. Alright. Naruto yelled at last, enough messing with Haiden. He's not berserk and set on killing us all dash. Yet. Haiden added absently. Yet. Naruto repeated with a light glare to the infant hollow, so he's still cool. And if he ever feels the urge to kill overwhelming then I'll just pull him into the Gedu and he can kick some more ass. It's simple. He grabbed the nearby Jigai that Urahara dropped nearby and held it up steady. Now I'm going to dash to. Are you sure that's going to work? Urahara asked him once he realized what was about to happen. I've never seen anyone put a hollow into a Jigai before. Naruto and Haiden looked at each other before the hollow spoke. I'm a soul, ain't I? Why can't I go into it? He asked. Before Urahara could think of an answer, Naruto activated his Rinnegan and his hand was surrounded by a black aura. And that is all the reasoning that I need for attempting this. I do stuff that no one has ever done before all the time. I'm a trailblazer. He said as he grabbed Haiden by the face and slammed him into the Jigai, watching as it took the form of Haiden's human body, and now we need to get him some clothes because nobody wants to see that. Naruto turned away from Haiden, covering his eyes like pretty much everyone else. Haiden looked at his human form, naked, and smirked. Sweet. Heh, this is awesome. And I don't feel like killing you all any more than usual. He noticed them all giving him a dry look. Right, I'll work on not wanting to kill people so much anymore, but can I go back into that Gedu thing soon? That was great. Yeah. Naruto said, if he's a Vasto Lord and that's supposed to be the strongest kind of hollow he'll be fine, plus he'll need the practice in battle won't he? Urahara was rapidly writing in his notebook, the Jigai steadies the volatile forms of the more powerful hollows, keeping them from having to devour other hollows to keep their level of strength. Hence the lack of the empty feeling in Haiden. This is a major breakthrough, it's seriously important. He ran over to Naruto. I'll definitely join your team if stuff like this happens to you all the time. And as long as I can study Haiden here. Haiden had just been handed undergarments, a black shirt, and blue jeans by Tessai. As long as I get paid and get to beat up more of those hollows I don't give a damn what you do with me. It's my job now. Urahara went over to Naruto and shook his hand. Then you've got yourself a handsome scientist/Shinigami/humble shopkeeper on your team, Uzumaki-san. Haiden's Jigai is the kind that will suppress his Ryatsu from those that can sense it since he clearly can't control it himself and it would alert far too many people. This is so exciting. Haiden finished getting dressed and smirked at his human appearance. Alright, I'm human for the first time in 2,000 years. I'm hungry as hell. And there's only one thing I want to eat. He yelled ferally, getting others to look at him, prepared to fight in case he was ready to devour their souls, spare ribs. Let's go, Uzumaki brat, you're paying. He said, strolling his way out of the training room. And once again I find someone older than me to call me a brat. Naruto sighed and shoved his hands in his pockets as he slowly followed after his former enemy. I have to go take care of this guy and make sure he doesn't fuck up on his first day back in the world again. I'll catch you guys later. He walked past everyone, stopping at Yoruichi before giving her a quick kiss on the cheek, not saying another word as he left. Urahara grinned and slid up next to a rather stunned Yoruichi with his fan in front of his face. So what was that all about, huh? He asked in a teasing manner. The new guy's getting all sweet with you, isn't he? And you didn't kick his teeth down his throat after he did it? Her stunned look dropped and her face took on a more playfully prowling appearance. Now why would I kick his teeth down his throat unless I didn't want him to do what he just did? I guess the game is finally afoot now, are you two? You're going to fall for me before I ever fall for you. I'm Shihoin Yoruichi, damn it. XXX. With Naruto and Haiden. Naruto and Haiden were walking down the street casually, with the latter eating a full takeout tray of spare ribs that were keeping him docile enough for Naruto to tell him about the work that was to be done and lay the ground rules of the future. Okay, so you can't just go off and kill anyone or else an entire force of people will come and kill you. There are way less places to hide out when you do that because pretty much the entire world is settled. There are very few open concealed areas to turn into hidey holes and the like. The forest I picked you from is one of the good ones left. So how strong are we? Haiden asked through a mouthful of food. You know, as far as humans go, because it was actually pretty crowded at the top when I got buried. Haiden had found that his Jigai could use chakra, but his reserves were very low when compared to his original body. Naruto quickly answered him, I'm number 1 by a serious long shot. As far as humans go, with you in that Jigai you should be around number 2 if not number 2 outright, because you can actually use chakra, and you're probably going to start making it so that you can use more chakra while in your Jigai. You won't be able to use any ninjutsu in your hollow form though. There's no physical energy for you to manipulate. I already know how I fight as a hollow. Haiden said, continuing to eat as all of the people and traffic in the streets passed them by. Man, the future is noisy, but yeah, it's kind of instinctual, not that much different from how I'd go berserk to get someone's blood when I was alive, plus I have a ranged attack too. You want to see it? He asked, rather excitedly, as it was clearly one of an extremely destructive nature. No. Naruto replied in a dry manner, because I know that you would just shoot off a big-ass zero, hollow flash, and blow 10 blocks of the city to hell. I'm glad you don't know how to get out of that Jigai yet. Haiden blinked in realization as he stopped eating. Yeah, that's right. How am I supposed to fight if I can't even get out of this body? The hollow me would tear this wimpy human me to fucking shreds. Chakra or not. Naruto raised his right arm firmly in front of Haiden's face. All I have to do is slap you on the back of the head with the black glowing hand I threw you in there in the first place, and then you can fight. That'll have to do until Urahara gives me a Jikangan, artificial soul pill, so you can get out all on your own without my help. He then let out a sigh. I'm sorry though. We're enemies a long time ago, but I never wanted to turn you into a hollow. Haiden began laughing. You're sorry? Why are you sorry, Uzumaki brat? This is everything I could have wanted. He said in a satisfied manner. If I hadn't been bound to that sacred site I would have gone to hell. Wasn't looking forward to that. It would have been nothing but personal torment, no one to kill. And that Soul Society place you told me about, don't make me gag, a place like that would have been torture for me. But now I'm free, I have a cool new form and more power than ever, and the instincts I've always had have a purpose now. I think I was made to be a hollow in the first place, and I even get the chance to maybe one day see Jashin-sama so that I can properly thank him for the gift he bestowed upon me all those years ago that my human body still has. What? Naruto said, that's not your same body. Haiden smirked and pulled up his shirt to reveal a poorly bandaged wound over his heart. I know. While you were getting the food I tested it in the bathroom with one of your kunai that I swiped. Hurts so good, brat. Naruto looked at him with a twitching eyebrow. I can still kill your soul. Not the body though. Haiden replied ecstatically as he threw away his tray in a nearby trash can. So where are we living, Uzumaki brat? Unless you're going to mooch off of the guy with the bucket hat. I'm handling that now. Naruto said confidently. XXX. When the fuck did you buy this? Haiden asked, slightly stunned at the size of the place Naruto bought. It was an old 6-story office building not far from the restaurant where they had gotten food. It was in a rather run-down, abandoned part of town, but neither of them cared too much at all. The privacy was just icing on the cake. The place was totally vacant, but for a pair of ninja the place was perfect to set up shop, especially with Naruto's plan for a team of sorts. Naruto looked at the place, smiling at the purchase. I had my clone look for the place when we were getting food and I was showing you around. I wrote it a blank check to fill in once it found a place and it did not disappoint. I know what I like apparently. There's like no one else around either, that's perfect. Now I just need to get Urahara over here to set me up with that cool training place he has under his shop and in the Vizard's place. Hayden walked around the bottom floor and looked back at the blonde that had bought the place. How did you afford this building and how are you going to furnish it? Naruto shook his head and walked past Hayden to check out the upstairs. Aside from the fact that the place was dirt cheap, I'm rich. Actually, rich would be an understatement. I've been alive roaming about for centuries upon centuries. Do you really think that I haven't made a ton of money? I'll have spaces filled out in no time. Now come on, we're going to go pick offices/rooms. I've got dibs on whichever one is supposed to be for the boss. XXX. 3 days later. Naruto sat on the roof of his new headquarters of sorts, simply meditating. The place was remarkably quiet although there was no nature, something that Naruto had gotten used to with the changing of the world since his youth. So this is where you've been hiding since you came back from that little run to the Siriidii? The voice of Shinji broke through Naruto's meditation, however he knew the man had been there. He could sense him as he came closer. So what are you and that weird silver-haired guy doing all the way out here doing nothing? Naruto opened his eyes and stood up to face the de facto leader of the Vizards, setting things up. Speaking of which, how would you like to work with me? Shinji raised an eyebrow in confusion. That Aizen guy was able to run circles around the Siriidii higher-ups, and whatever he did to you might have been prevented if a group that didn't have to cow to the Soul Society norms existed. I'm supposed to be that group. And Yamamoto is letting you do this? Shinji said skeptically with his arms crossed. That doesn't sound right. Naruto dusted the back of his pants off. He was the one that asked me to do it. I'm not under his command. I'm not under any kind of order from him. This is a separate entity from anything in the Siriidii. I'm in control. I'm getting up to speed really quickly about all of the things I need to know in my position, and I want you and the others to work with me. Shinji sighed. No deal, Naruto. He said, shaking his head, it's still too close to the Godii 13 for us. You're a good guy, but this is still something we don't really want to deal with. Naruto frowned visibly at his answer. I was going to go after Aizen once I found a way to get to him. I'm still going. I just hoped that you guys would be up to being on my side once everything got started. We'll see, Naruto. Shinji said, adjusting the hat on his head. If we stick our necks out too far they might get cut off, you know? Aizen was the one that forced our hollow powers onto us. He's the entire reason that we were forced to leave the Soul Society. If we hadn't, we'd have been executed. Having hollow powers is the ultimate taboo. We are on your side though. Naruto nodded and placed his hand on the man's shoulder. Same here. If you guys ever need my help, I want you to call me. You guys are good friends. He then smirked. I also think I know someone that you're all going to want to speak to. Has Urahara told you about a little someone called Kurosaki Ichigo yet? Uruchi-chan thought she was able to keep his hollow powers away from me, but that's something she can't hide. A chuckle came from Shinji. He has. We're going to wait until school starts back up for him before we try to do anything though. Do you think the kid will let us train him though? Fuck no. Naruto said, laughing at the prospect. He's going to fight you all the way. He doesn't want that power. Good luck with that. Actually, Shinji said with a grin on his face, there is something you can do for us that might end up with us working with you. A gesture of good faith, if you will. Naruto went frozen for a moment. I don't really like the way you worded that. This is going to be something I'm going to hate doing, isn't it? Shinji's grin grew further as Naruto's brain tried to quickly process what it was that the man wanted him to do, finally settling on the only option that would make sense in context with their conversation. No. I'm not going to do it, there's no way. He said, crossing his arms in an X pattern. I'm the leader of a fledgling unit of fighters and I have to babysit a newly turned hollow that used to be my enemy 2,000 years ago. There's no way I'm going to go to school at a time like this. Shinji was highly amused at how Naruto shot down going to school so swiftly. And you think I want to be caught dead there? The only reason I'd possibly be okay with going to school would be because of all of the cute girls there in the school uniforms. He trailed off as he saw Naruto's face pondering his last statement. You want to go now, don't you? Pervert. Naruto glared at him lightly. You're calling me a pervert? Half of you and your crew are all perverts, and I swear Hiyori's hiding some kind of latent streak of it because she's too defensive whenever something like that is brought up. You would know considering what you did the day before you left. Shinji muttered to himself before he was grabbed by Naruto. Oh, you don't remember what you did? He said with a sly grin. No, I don't remember. Naruto shouted in reply, does it have anything to do with why I woke up naked? And what does it have to do with Hiyori? Shinji waved it off, oh, it's better if you don't remember it. Her too, otherwise she might hunt you down and kill you. He snapped his fingers, hey, that's it. I can just blackmail you into going or else I'll tell Hiyori what you did when you were smashed. Naruto was about to viciously argue and possibly throw the man off of the roof of the building before he took the time to think about how violent Hiyori was normally. If what Shinji was saying was true, then what he was planning to tell her would piss her off more than anything Naruto had previously thought possible, and Naruto seemed to have a problem with avoiding angry women. All I have to do is go until I can shove Ichigo your way, right? That's all you have to do. Shinji said, and you still have another month until you have to go. It should be simple for you, Mr. Immortal. And drop by sometime, everyone misses you. Naruto scoffed, yeah, they miss beating me up. He let a small smile come to his face, tell them I'll be by soon. I just have to get all of this stuff in order first. I'm building this thing from scratch, you know. Will do. Shinji said as he calmly walked off of the roof into midair away from the building and Naruto, catch you later Naruto. XXX. Naruto and Yaruchi, for Urahara, were trying to ascertain exactly what had happened to Haiden inside of Naruto's Gedu. Yaruchi had come over, marveled at the job that Naruto's clones were doing at fixing the place up, and made her way to the roof so that they could get down to business. So what do you remember happening in there? She asked. Haiden sat, pondering the chain of events that occurred after Naruto dropped him inside of the Gedu. Well, it dropped me inside of this place that was filled with freaky silvery trees. Trees so tall I couldn't climb them to get to the top, then I felt a ton of pain and blacked out. Yaruchi nodded, that must have been your holification. Go on. Haiden did as instructed. When I woke up there were all of these wimpy monsters just hiding behind the giant trees staring at me until I stood up and asked them what they were looking at. Naruto and Yaruchi gave him a dry look as the new Hollow's boss looked at him. I'm getting the feeling you said more than that. Haiden rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Okay, some offensive slurs and threats of disembowelment were made. But then they started attacking me and that's when all hell broke loose and I started running through them like my scythe through some soft gelatinous material with not much give to it. Eventually stronger ones showed up, and I killed them too, then everything just starts blurring together. Yaruchi took in all of this information, strong enough to butcher a seemingly unlimited wave of Jillian-class Minos, and even a few Ajuchas from the sounds of it right off the bat. She turned to Naruto and smirked, I guess you were right about how strong a few other ninja of your time were. She then turned back to Haiden, and for the last week you haven't felt the need to go and kill anyone? No hunger or anything? Haiden shook his head, again, not any more than usual. When I was alive I felt the same all the time, I don't feel any different. And if I'm hungry I'll make a sandwich. He finished jokingly. Naruto finally spoke up, I need to go into the Gedu and see what he's talking about. Haiden immediately raised his hand, I'm going too. He quickly said, I haven't killed anything in a week Uzumaki brat. I'm so proud of you. Yaruchi said sarcastically before turning to Naruto, why in the hell would you want to go in there? That place will be teeming with hollows. Naruto put his cheek in his hand as he explained why, because as the current Rikudo Sannin it's my job to know what exactly goes on inside of my own technique. While Haiden's the only person I've used it on like that, Pain used it on tons of people. If there's another whole plane of existence in there I have to know exactly what it is. He saw her giving him an even look that showed she wasn't entirely convinced. I can spit myself back out on this side when I want to leave. I've never been inside of it before but I've seen it done with Pain's other bodies. It doesn't hurt. Haiden added, well it doesn't hurt until you wind up on the other side and fall to the ground. Naruto started to walk downstairs to his office to get some things, and on that note I'm going to go grab some stuff and then me and Haiden are going to go on into the Gedu and check it out. Wait. Yaruchi said, stopping him at the entrance to the stairwell back downstairs, I'm going too. As long as you're sure you can get us all back out. Naruto gave her a confident nod and kept walking, shutting the door to the lower levels behind him. Haiden chimed in after Naruto left, the Gedu thing will just appear and snap you back up and spit you out on the other side. He can summon it here or there since it appeared there too. He said, believing his input would make her more inclined to go along. Of course if you don't go that's just fine with me too, sexy lady that has a crush on Uzumaki brat. He grinned at her when she glared at him, you can't kill my human body. Yaruchi's glare turned to a smirk, my name is Yaruchi, and Naruto's going to pull you out of your immortal body when he uses his Gedu. Shit. Haydn said as he trudged past her down the stairs. I keep forgetting, the body is immortal but the soul isn't. XXX. Naruto's office/living quarters. A few minutes later, Yoruichi and Haydn stood in Naruto's room as he stood dressed in the gear he wore to the Siriidii. Alright, are you guys ready to go? He channeled the Yin chakra to his hand, turning it black and reached inside of Haydn's body, pulling out his hollow form as his Jigai dropped onto the floor. Both Yoruichi and Haydn nodded, giving him the cue to begin hand seals. Then let's do this. Gedu, outer path. The demonic head rose from the ground with the purple energy barrier at the ground as it used its tongue to pull all three of them inside of its mouth. XXX. Naruto and Haydn yelled loudly as the Gedu spat them out on the other side, allowing them to fall freely to the ground below, crashing in a heap. Yoruichi landed nearby them on her feet, looking at the disheveled heap that they were tangled in. Naruto stood up first and looked over at Yoruichi, about to ask her how she did that. Oh, never mind, I already know how you did that. Cats always land on their feet. Yoruichi gave him a V sign for victory before looking around. A human, a hollow, and a Shinigami, one hell of a team to investigate the middle of nowhere. She said as she walked over to one of the trees that Haydn had been talking about. He's right about these trees though. She said, looking up at very small holes at the top of what would be the canopy. They're huge, and they're not made of wood, this is some mineral. Haydn stood up and looked around. I'm just here for the kick-ass fighting that I'm going to get into. You two can sightsee. Naruto knocked on one of the trees to find it incredibly solid. It's like a forest of trees made of rock. Is this really the inside of the Gedu? XXX. On a large throne inside of a palace room, Aizen Susuk sat as a figure walked towards him. Ah, Harabel. Thank you for coming so quickly. He said pleasantly, the Numeros have been hearing things about activity in the forest of Minos. Would you mind heading up a small scouting party to head down there for me? It should be nothing really, there were rumors of a powerful new hollow that appeared there. Maybe we can recruit this new hollow. The woman he was speaking to had the appearance of rather dark skin, green eyes, messy, short blonde hair that she had braided in 3 locks and had the lower half of her face covered by the elongated collar of her clothing. She wore a black and white boots, a black sash, a white hakama, and a fully zipped-up white jacket with the aforementioned elongated collar. However, it was cut very short to reveal her entire lower torso and much the lower half of her rather bountiful bosom. At the end of her sleeves she had a pair of black gloves on her hands, and on her back was a zanpakudo, a rather broad and short weapon. She bowed to Aizen. I will have my Frachen head down with me to check the area. If there is anything there we will find it. Aizen simply smiled his usual confident, calm smile to her in reply. I know that you will, my dear.